Come in to the Red Hawks Coaches Show. We are at Wings Etc. in Jackson, and we have plenty of room for you. We've got a nice crowd gathering, but we're in the banquet room. If you are familiar with Wings in Jackson, or even if you're not, walk in the front door, take a right. We're back in the banquet room. Everybody is putting their orders in now for the delicious Wings Etc. menu, and we want to let everybody know this is the 10-year anniversary of Wings in Jackson opening. It was the original Wings Etc. And to celebrate the 10-year anniversary, they've got throwback wing and beer pricing through Thursday. And you can share Facebook posts and enter to win $100 in Wings gift certificates. So congratulations to Wings Etc. year number 10. And if you did not know, they have partnered with DoorDash. So if you'd like to get wings delivered to your front door, you can do that. Just go to your App Store, download the free DoorDash app. It'll take you just a couple of minutes, set up an account, boom. You can scan the menu and have wings delivered wherever you are. You can order online, come in, pick it up, or the best way is just to be here at Wings Etc., where they've got all of the high-definition televisions and all of the great sporting events. We're going to be talking Red Hawks basketball. The newest member, the 25th member of the 1,000 Point Club, Chris Harris, is going to join us a little bit later on in the show. But Coach Brad Korn is here, and you've got to be in a good mood. A couple of impressive wins at the Show Me Center Thursday and Saturday over EIU and Southern Indiana.
Yeah, obviously anytime you win late in February, and you want to be playing your best basketball towards the end of the year. And that's something that we've done here historically since I've been here. And so it's good to get those 2 wins under your belt for a lot of different reasons, but also to be playing well and to be playing your best as we head into March.
So right now the standings are you and UT Martin are 2 games behind Morehead State. Going to be tough to catch Morehead. They have clinched at least a share of the OVC regular season title, but you are right now tied with Martin. They host Tennessee State and they go to Morehead, so there is certainly a chance. I mean, Tennessee State has been hot. I know they did not win on Saturday, and then Morehead State, obviously, it's tough to win there. We've discussed, what their record is at home over the last 3 years. I think now it's 37-5 over the last 3 seasons in Johnson Arena. So it's going to be tough for UT Martin, and the key is UT Martin is the only team in the league that's beaten you twice. And so they own the tiebreaker, and that's who you're tied with. So you have an opportunity to still get the number 2 seed, but you need a little help from either Tennessee State or Morehead State if you can win out.
Yeah, there's still a lot of determining factors out there, seeding, who you're going to play. But obviously the biggest thing is that 1 or the 2 seed to be able to get that double bye. Very, very important. Especially this year, this conference season, just depending upon where everybody's going to fall. There could be something to where a 6 seed is playing, or a 7 seed is playing in the championship. I really feel it could be one of those types of years. So you have to put yourself in the best position. Obviously, that's the way the league is set up, to reward the teams that have done the majority of their work and put themselves in that position, in the top 2. So again, we're where we need to be, but again, a long way away from finishing it off, and for a long way from us being the best that we can be. Again, we have to continue to be playing our best basketball, being the best versions of ourselves. So as we continue on, and 2 games left right there in front of us, like it's been for the last month that we've been talking about it. But again, now it's really there. And I think you can see in some of the ways that guys played the other night. Chris getting his 1,000th point. Nate Johnson had a different energy, a different level about him playing. So Israel Barnes in the starting lineup gave him that opportunity, just for the sacrifices and the way that he's handled himself. So again, playing our best basketball at the end, led by seniors, being a good team, playing well. We've played good games the last 2. The Eastern, I thought, was our best game that we've played, start to finish, both sides of the ball, since Edwardsville. We've had, it's not like we've just been playing terrible, but we've had a lot of ups and downs within a game. I thought it's been our most consistent game on both sides, offensively and defensively, in that Eastern game. And then Southern Indiana, I mean, we came out very, very well to start the game, 8-0 run. And then we kind of lost focus a little bit. Offensively, we got stuck. We went on a little run, but in the past, think maybe we let that game slip away like we did against Moorhead, but we found a way to get it back. Obviously, we went up 11, I believe it was, in that second half, and we found a way to close it out. Albeit not the way that we wanted to close it out in that game. But again, playing better than we have, progress, growth, playing your best basketball towards that. I think we've done that, and some guys are starting to step up and play well. It's good to see Adam Larson have a good game against Southern Indiana. Israel Barnes is going to be consistent. So our bench has been pretty consistent. That's got to continue on.
What does it say about the state of your team now that you score 85 points against Southern Indiana and Philip Russell is the 4th leading scorer on the team in the ball game, 10 points? What does that say? Because we know we've seen some things. You talk about your offense getting stuck. We've seen it get stuck when Phil's not on the floor. But in this game, Philip Russell was not the guy that had to lead you in scoring.
Yeah, it's huge. And again, you're going to see this. The teams that from now until when a champion is crowned in the NCAA tournament, it's a survival of the fittest. And each game, each day, you're going to have another guy pop up and score. And those teams that everybody that can be consistent and bring to the table what they do, and then you have these certain guys step up in certain games. I think that's the beauty of team.
Month, maybe a couple games here and there that maybe goes away scoring wise just because of the physicality of the game. But then he's going to bounce back because he's been in enough games now, he's played in enough atmosphere. So I think it's a little bit of that combination of all those things, but we need everybody. We've needed everybody all season long, and I think it's been the one silver lining to some of the injuries that Jones the way to deal with early in June.
You started your basketball career at SIU in '99, right?
That's correct.
Okay, 1999. I'm sure that Coach Weber was like, we got to put some muscle. We got to get this guy. We got to pack some weight on.
What are you saying, Eric?
To Brad Korn.
You saying that didn't happen?
Adam Larson is in the same boat. How much have things changed in terms of nutrition from '99 when you started? Nutrition, weight room, strength and conditioning coaches, and things that you can do to help a guy put on some weight, put on some muscle, put on a little bit of size. Is it different? Has it changed that much since '99 when you?
Yeah, the resources have changed a ton. From my first time at SIU, our weight room was basically a closet. There really was not a whole lot in there. And 135 pounds in 1999 is still 135 pounds here in 2023. So whatever the weights were isn't necessarily the issue or the nice, brighter. So it's been, but the resources, the coaches, I think there's always something new that comes either from the NBA or European that affects college basketball, men's basketball, whether that's a new offensive system or a scheme or a defensive thing. I think the weight side, the nutrition side has really caught up in that regard as well. You see a lot of these teams, especially at Kansas State, we had our own men's basketball strength and conditioning coach. That's the only sport we dealt with was us. So you're talking about one coach for 15 players. And so that type of situation, you have your own than everybody else. So there's really no excuse at those levels. And I don't know if it necessarily was always like that, but again, you've seen a lot more people putting resources and money into the strength and nutrition area. And we've done a great job here at SEMO with our level and our resources to be able to provide some of those things. Success Center is where our guys lift in academics. And Coach Knapp, our head strength coach, has done a great job of getting things that I bought when I was a player at the grocery store to just eat regular lunch is now available to our guys per NCAA rules that have changed. Also, used when I was playing, you couldn't provide those things. That would be considered an extra benefit. Now those types of things are able to be provided to our guys from the school, and so now there's lunch meat sandwiches and waffles and snacks and things that they can get over there in between classes. As to where when I was playing, that all just came out of your pocket. You had to go to the grocery store and buy those things. So there's food more readily available to you. There's calories out there for you. So a guy like Adam Larson, the milks, the extra, the supplemental things that you can get that are available to you to the places that you already go. They're gonna go lift weights here at 12:30 today, so we can grab a sandwich before, grab a sandwich after, pack a sandwich, take it in between classes. Those types of things are available to you now where you already go. As to where when I was playing, you had to literally physically go to the grocery store, buy those things, pack those things yourself. Those things are all available to you now, more readily available, just more of your true isolated coach for your program. So it's gotten a little bit more player specific.
Have you had a conversation with Adam Larson? Adam, whenever I see you, I don't want to see you not eating something.
Yeah, we've the good thing for Adam is he has a coach that can sympathize with him a little bit.
Sure.
And they tried to put so much weight on me at SIU, and sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Right. Metabolisms are different for different guys.
Exactly, and sometimes too, Adam, you eat. And I think the thing with him is going to be he's got to eat till he's full because he gets full pretty quick. Just whenever you feel like, or don't feel like it, you got to do it again. He's just got to get more calories because he really has a game there to where if he can, he's probably not ever going to be that guy that puts on 30 pounds.
Sure.
Maybe over the course of his 5 years he does, but it's not like next year all of a sudden he's going to walk in here looking like a bodybuilder. His body type just isn't built that way. But 10 pounds is a lot of pounds for a guy like him. He's put on pretty close to that since he's been here. Last year, going back to last year. Sure where he's at actually total number wise, but I know it's a significant amount when you consider how much he actually truly weighs. I never knew how much I really weighed because I would always lie, so the coaches would leave me alone. I even snuck a couple 2.5 pound plates in my pockets one day just to say, yeah, look, I gained 5 pounds, leave me alone. So I don't know if it'll ever really happen for him, but if we can ever get 15, man, I think he could be a really dominant type of player.
So you mentioned that the food and the nutrition is so much more available now than when you had to go to the grocery store just to eat. A couple of years ago, and I can't remember the player's name, but it garnered national attention. Shabazz Napier, and doing a post-game interview in the NCAA tournament saying, hey, I can't eat. I mean, there is no food available to me. That story went nationwide. It was like wildfire. How much have things changed because of that interview by Napier?
Well, I think everything has changed since then. You look at all the fuel stations is what they call them, and training table and all those types of things. It's really made people notice and be aware, and the NCAA has been, fortunately, a little bit retroactive in a lot of things that they've done. To me, I don't know why, when I was in school, why a ham or a turkey sandwich wouldn't be available, or a banana or an apple. To me, that just seems common sense. Obviously, if you can afford those things each program. But for that to be illegal seems a little bit archaic. So for now, like guys like Chris that can have that, I think everybody has it for the most part. Some level of it. What exactly it looks like and to which level, of course, is different. But I'll tell you, the things that we have in the Success Center compared to what we had at Kansas State really isn't different. There's not a lot of difference. The only thing is maybe at K-State maybe we have the cinnamon raisin bagel instead of a waffle. But at the end of the day, the whole point is to get extra added calories so you're not just out there.
And explain to people, when you go on road trips, you feed them. You go to restaurants, sit down, have a meal. Sometimes you get something delivered to the hotel. When you're on the road, you feed these guys at least 3 times a day, and depending on what hotel you're staying in and whether or not they offer a free breakfast, and you usually stay in pretty nice hotels. So most of the hotels indeed do have breakfast, and if they don't have a free breakfast, you're buying them breakfast.
Yeah, they don't. There's not any meals that we miss. I think that's something that we do a very good job here, and our administration understands and helps us in that regard. Is we're never going to leave these guys. It's one of the biggest things I always thought of was a player-driven program, and we have to. There's things that we can't do, and I understand as a program overall. But one thing that we can never do is make our guys feel any less than what they are. And one way that you can do that is how you travel, how you treat them, and how you feed them. So I think we do a pretty good job of that here. Of course, there's always more that we could do. But again, for a typical road trip, if we left at 1 o'clock on a 4 or 5 hour bus ride, we'll get a little Chick-fil-A type sandwich on the bus before we go. As we head over, we take Chris's cookie out of his box. And then we go to practice.
Give it to Adam.
Give it to Adam,
Yeah.
that's right. Because we got to make sure Chris isn't stealing everyone else's cookie from their box. We have to actually steal his cookie from the box. But go to practice, and then we come back to the hotel, and whether or not what the prices look like, we could even get a catered meal in from a local caterer. And then we turn around the next day at breakfast if it's a hot breakfast that the hotel offers, or we'll get it catered in, or we've even gone to Cracker Barrel and sat down and just ordered off the menu. Typical pregame 4 hours before, and then postgame after. So they get enough calories that way, but again, it's more of the supplemental calories that we're trying to get on guys like Adam, because each guy's always a little bit different.
Anybody else you take their cookie out of the box other than Harris?
No.
Okay,
He's
all right. Chris is isolated at 24 years old. The cookies must slow down, and Chris Harris is here, and so we will be talking with him. Did you already order yet? He did. Okay, so his food is on the way. You got a go-to when you come to Wings, Etc., Coach?
It's the I'm a big dry rub bone-in guy, so I typically go with whatever the dry. Right now, I think it's lime pepper. It's called lime pepper.
They've got barbecue. They've got 3 different dry rubs here, so you can kind of take your pick. Bone-in is the way to go. Yeah. I'm telling you. I mean, 95% of all the players, and when we've got football players or basketball players, they're bone-in.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I mean, Joe Hobbs says, okay, we like our boneless stuff, but it's Coach Took says it's a McNugget. I don't want a McNugget.
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense to me. If you're eating wings, I want to feel like I'm eating a wing.
All right, so let's discuss how the game ended on Saturday. It was a scary situation for Southern Indiana, obviously. Tyler Henry, who played 28 minutes in the game and was the second leading scorer. He had 20 points, good player for them, had a medical crisis, collapsed near the bench. From what I'm being told, he does have a history of some cardiac issues. I don't know the extent of it, but there is a bit of a history there. Collapsed on the floor. First of all, you go from game mode. This is a 5-point game, man. This game is not over 17 seconds, and you're thinking of every scenario that can happen to win this basketball game. I know a coach's thing. Then all of a sudden, you have to deal with this. What were your thoughts when you came to the realization of, man, we've got a medical emergency here?
Honestly, I immediately just thought of my kids. I think that's the first place that your mind goes as a parent. Just imagining it's one of your children or one of our players in that situation. So obviously I was a little bit closer to him than everybody else. So I saw him, and at first everything was okay, and then you kind of see his eyes kind of rolling back, and just everything that we've kind of seen lately just on social media, and obviously the Moore Hamlet situation. That's where everyone's mind goes first. Second thought is, where's Amanda, our trainer? They had some people there, obviously, but she's on top of it. Got her over there right away. She came over right away. She was right there. Pretty much took the lead from everything that I could see. Just very knowledgeable, and obviously she's trained for that. And she did a tremendous job with him. I didn't know where it was going. Obviously, he laid there for however long it was. Felt like forever. But we saw him moving around and talking, and saw his lips moving again. It seemed like they were able to cool him down. They had a lot of towels around his head and face, neck area. So it seems to be okay. I think everything turned out for the best, especially when he got to his feet, was able to get on the stretcher himself. That was obviously a huge sign. He went home that night. The coaches said that he's a stubborn kid and he didn't want to stay in Cape. They wanted to keep him until Monday, obviously given the situation, but they said he's a stubborn kid and he wanted to get back to Evansville, so he ended up leaving that late that night. Everything that I've heard since then is
and they took him to the hospital in Evansville as soon as they got home.
Correct.
From what I understand.
Under observation. I'm not sure if he's still there. I haven't reached out to Coach. I haven't reached out to Stan yet today. So I'm not quite sure where it stands now, but everything I've heard and seen, obviously he tweeted something as well.
I was going to say he went on social media and thanked everybody. You know, kind of gave the impression, hey, things are okay.
Yeah. And that's how I stand it. That's how I understand it now. But again, just a scary situation. At that point, basketball becomes really, really small.
So Amanda Martin, longtime trainer at SEMO, and I could not have more respect for how they operate, and especially if they are veteran trainers, how there is no panic. 2002, the baseball team is playing at Southern Miss. You've got 6 lanes of traffic across from our hotel, 3 going each direction, and I believe the speed limit was about 45 miles an hour. So I'm in the room with some of the assistant coaches, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and the front desk clerk says, I think one of your players just got hit by a car. What they were doing, there was 4 or 5 of them, and they went to cross the street, 3 lanes of traffic at 45 miles an hour. And this guy is a pitcher. His name was Adam Sherry, and he, for whatever reason, got clipped by a car, flung him over, cracked his skull. His leg was broken, his tibia and fibula. It was just, 45 degrees. I mean, it was really bad. And the trainer at the time, his name was Lance McNamara. The first thing, we all ran out there. The trainer was there. Traffic was stopped, and Adam is trying to get up, and Lance is, holding him down, and the leg is just like nothing you've ever seen. Kind of like the kid at Louisville when he ended up breaking it. It was the same type thing, tibia, fibula. And he turns to me, says, run back to the hotel room and get my black bag. It's a big black bag. Calm as can be. I bring the bag out. He starts dealing with Adam Sherry and hand me this out of my bag. Had no panic whatsoever. The ambulance gets there. They end up, because of the skull fracture, they flew him to Texas from Southern Miss. But these veteran trainers, there is no panic. They know what to do. And Amanda Martin, as long as she has been at SEMO, she needs to be commended for no panic and knowing exactly what to do. They are highly trained.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's when you see like coaches, they get so mad at players during practices because it's the practice that sets you up for those types of situations, whether it's a pressure free throw, not to put free throws in life and death situation in the same category, but it's the same premise of practice, so you're ready for those moments and you're not overtaken by those moments. And I called her afterwards on my way home from the game and just checked on her because, again, when you're in your moment, you're in your element, you're not really worried about anything. Everything else just seems to stop because you're so singularly focused on that young man and getting him back right. And then after the fact is when you start shaking it and everything else starts to set in. So I called her afterwards just to check and make sure she was doing okay, and she was. But I think a lot of times trainers, it's a very thankless position from the standpoint of just a ton of hours. They never have good news for you. She calls me, it's never going to be something, hey, great game, coach. It's so-and-so can't play, or so-and-so's got this, or, we got to test this. And especially through COVID, all medical personnel just going through that, navigating that all at the same time. Trying to be upbeat, trying to be positive, try to do what's right, try to keep people safe. And it's always that blurred line because in athletics, we're go, no matter what. You're not hurt, you're not hurt, let's go. Concussions. There's another thing that's changed over the years. So give them people a lot of credit because, again, they're vastly underpaid and the hours that they work and the job that they do is very important.
So speaking of free throws, you get to the line 40 times in the game against Southern Indiana. That had to please you, that you were attacking the basket. Yes, you shot in the game. You end up shooting 20 3-pointers, but it wasn't just jacking threes all game. You don't get to the free throw line 40 times if you're jacking three.
Yeah, I thought, again, we got stuck in that first half for about a 5 to 6 minute stretch where the ball was not moving at all. So we give our guys a ton of credit for finding a way, getting in transition. We're at our best when we're in transition. And then when the game slowed down a little bit, we were able to get, obviously Chris is here, but Chris was able to get to the basket, get to the paint. That's something we talked about heading into the game was they don't have, as good as Popovich is, he's not a shot blocker. And they didn't have many shot blockers. So it's like once we get into the painted area, we've got to convert at the rim. And So I think we did a great job of that. And again, I think our pace was there. I wouldn't say that Southern Indiana is one of the best defensive teams in the league, but again, in the first half, the ball was not getting to both sides. It was staying on one side, and I think in the second half we were able to get stops. I thought our defense was pretty solid for the most part, especially on Pop. We had a huge game plan going in for him because of what he had done the last time. And
he only had 13 rebounds. He didn't have 25 or whatever it was he had the first time.
26 and 27 is yeah, is an OVC record. And so our guys knew that coming in. We weren't going to have a repeat performance like that. But again, I thought we were able to get in transition and really just open some things up, especially the last 9 minutes of the game. Phil played with 4 fouls. We weren't necessarily aware. There was kind of some confusion going on with that. I actually told him the possession going back that he fouled out on to not foul, but he had 4 fouls. We had a player at the scores table ready to check in for him. We still got hit with a foul. So, I mean, again, give our guys a ton of credit because as a coach, you want to see your team progress and get better. And there's been moments where Chris has been out and Phil has been out, and then we kind of lose our way, and then we lose the game. And then we didn't in that moment. That, again, speaks volumes as we head down the stretch here. You can't control everything that's going to happen within the game. There may be foul trouble for somebody else down the line. So now that next guy's got to be able to step up. Mason Handback against Eastern Illinois. Nate had 3 fouls in the first half. Josh Early can't play.
Josh Mitchell is out.
So
he's not an option.
So we can't play Josh Early 20 straight minutes. He's getting tired. And so give Mason Handback a ton of credit for coming in there and doing what he did against Eastern, 8 points, putting himself in a great position, and give the guys credit for having trust in him. We showed before that Eastern Illinois game there, we showed the guys a clip of the Kansas City Chief player that took the knee, before the goal line. You think about that. He put a whole organization, a whole city. He put everything in the kicker's hands, or the kicker's foot, for the Super Bowl, for everything, and to have that kind of a mindset. We showed that to the guys and talked about that. So then to see it for our team and our guys. To see Chris or Phil or whoever it may be come off a ball screen and throw it to Mason Handback, who hasn't played a ton, who's a freshman. If you're in a selfish mindset, you're not going to make those plays. And we made those plays, and we had success, and the team won, and now we won 2 in a row. And so all of those things matter, and so I'm pleased in the part that our team saw those things and took those things and applied those things.
Your kryptonite this year has been defending the 3-point arc. I mean, that has been something that I know you really focus on. They hit 8 first half 3-pointers. They're 8 for 12. Second half they hit 1. They hit 1 of their last 12 3-pointers and only 1 in the second half, and that is such a massive part of their offense. They are a 3-point shooting team. They do it well. They've got 2 of the very best 3-point shooters in the OVC. What changed in the second half? What did you guys do to absolutely take away their number 1 weapon, the 3-point?
You know what? In the first half, it was 2 guys that had 8 threes. And one of those is Lakes, who leads the conference in threes made. Henry got going. And I know that there were 3 in particular. There was nothing more that we could have done other than foul. We did foul in that. And so that's a little bit of what they do. They're kind of an up and down team in that regard. From the standpoint of there's not a lot of plays that they do or a lot of confusion that they do. They literally are just, it's me versus you, and I'm just raising up and making this shot. And so again, I think you see some of that when it works, it's great, and then when it doesn't look as great.
Are they the definition of any team in the league? Live by the 3, die by the 3.
And then they have a big guy that can control the game. And so now if they're making a couple threes and he's dominating on the inside, you see that's why they've been able to have the success that they've had in the league. This year. They're a tough matchup from that standpoint because they have one-on-one ability to where they can make tough threes that don't involve a scouting report or a defensive scheme. It literally is just me versus you late in the clock, and I can make this shot, a challenged contested 3, which is, as a defense, that's something you want. You want dribble, pull up, contested 3s. That you're going to have to give up something, and that's something that we would give up, or we feel our defense is going to win over the course of 40 minutes if that's what we're giving up. So. Give them credit, obviously, at the beginning of the game of making tough shots. But we stayed the course, and so now that flips in the second half. So to answer your question, there wasn't anything schematically or systematically that we changed or did differently. We actually confused ourselves on 2 threes that Lakes was able to get that we should not have had any confusion on those. But again, the stress, the up and down of the game, you're going to have some breakdowns here and there. But there was nothing that we changed schematically. that second half, some of those just weren't going in.
So before we talk with our guy, Chris Harris, he is here, and he is enjoying some delicious wings, etc. We'll find out what he is enjoying here in a couple of minutes. When the officials came to you, when Henry went down, and I know that Amanda Martin obviously was the first one on the scene, and they've got paramedics, and the fire department is there, so they've got plenty of medical personnel there. What did the officials approach you with? Because did both coaches just agree, hey, this is the way the game is going to end? What did the officials say to you, and did they tell you what the OVC rule is? And we're kind of more familiar with it now because it just happened in Tennessee State with an injury to a Tennessee Tech player.
Yeah, they were just saying they were just trying to get in touch with the league office at that point to find out what the protocols were, because those officials had not been in that situation just yet. So they were trying to get word from the conference office on what the protocols would be, whether this is a finish it out. And then during that whole time, obviously Stan, the head coach, was dealing with the players, so I was kind of talking with the assistant there, saying, hey, here, maybe we'll shoot these 2 free throws, let you all inbound it, and just run the clock out, game over. And then as time kind of went on, and once we got contact from the league office, they said, hey, as long as you guys both agree that the game is good, you can call it at that point. And obviously their coach, Stan, he was like, just game's over, just look up, let's just get this game over with, let's be done. So Stan was more in this, and never really backed off of, we want to finish, or let's do this, or let's do that. He was more so just like, this game's over, he was obviously more concerned with his player.
It's funny, well, not funny, but ironic, because that same baseball series at Southern Miss where we had a player get hit by a car, fractured his skull, snapped his leg. The very next day we play, and one of the pitchers goes over to catch a pop-up near the dugout, and there are concrete steps. He goes head first, rips half of his ear off. They have to get a plastic surgeon to meet him at the hospital. And at that point, Coach Hogan came out and said, we're getting on the cars.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes, and I'm sure the coach was thinking, okay, we've still got a shot in this game, but at that point, it just becomes a secondary issue, right?
Yeah, and I think you even look at Tennessee State, Tennessee Tech, there was like 3 minutes and 47 seconds left in that game. Because, again, what are you going to do? You're going to send everybody home. We're going to bring Southern Indiana back here for a 17-minute game and shoot some free throws. And it's one of those situations where you have to understand what's the most important thing at this point. The most important thing not only is the young man that was down on the floor safety, but everyone else's safety as well, because it's been such a long break in action. So as long as everybody's good with it, again, I think everybody understands at that time and at that moment what the most important thing was. And so as long as he was good with it, I was good with it, of course. And as a coach, you'd say we should have been in that position. We should have been well within reach of winning. Should have been all one-possession games. We make no free throws, but again, all that stuff goes away in those types of situations.
Have you ever, on the sideline as an assistant coach, have you ever been involved in a situation like that where there's still time on the clock and they call the game? Is that the first time it's happened for you, or have you seen it before?
The only other time I saw was the brawl at Kansas State, Kansas, and there's still some time left on the clock. And they cleared everybody out, and because the clock didn't go off, they actually brought guys back out to shoot free throws in the empty gym just to get because you have to finalize the game per rule or whatever. You can't and something like that. So for those reasons, they had to come back out and shoot free throws, but that was the only time I've ever seen that.
All right, Chris Harris going to join us here in a couple of minutes. How about the way Chris Harris is coming down the stretch here? 20 points to lead you against Southern Indiana, knowing it's just 2 regular season games left and then a spot in the tournament. We talked so much about Manny Patterson last year and how he really went to another level here as he could see the finish line of his collegiate career. You seen some of that with Chris Harris?
Yeah, I think so. I'm glad the 1,000-point cloud is gone and over. I think he was wearing that. It's something that you know is there. It's something you want to accomplish. That's one hell of a milestone to be able to do. For him to be able to do it here with us, 2 degrees I've talked about a lot with him, and so really interesting perspective from him probably to see where the program was to where it is now, and for him to be able to be a part of that and say I got 2 degrees from here and I was a 1,000-point scorer. So again, hopefully the rest of the story is still to be written. Can have even a better ending to his story But again, I'm glad that in that game, in that Southern Indiana game too, when he knew he was really close, and he can speak to it more. But it just seems that all that goes away, and now you can become more free mentally and even physically, because obviously Chris has been an all-league guy well before we got here, preseason all-league guy. So he's had that type of a season in his senior year. So definitely see a relief, kind of that 1,000-point cloud gone. You see it all the time in baseball, those guys getting that 3,000.
They get close to a milestone and they slump. I'm telling you, it just happens.
Yeah. You can't, no matter what you try to tell yourself, you know it's still there. It still sticks in your mind. You missed a bunch of free throws that you probably never would have missed if it wouldn't have been there anyway. So now I think all that stuff's behind him. You see it in Nate Johnson. Israel Barnes is playing the best basketball he's played. So I think he's there, but again, credit to him. That's something we've talked about a lot, Eric, to close that up, is just trying to get that senior night to really mean something for somebody. And so for now, for Chris to be able to have that, and have his parents here, and his brother and his sister here, to see that moment, to get a win, to put ourselves in position to get a double bye in the conference tournament, that's the things that we've been trying to do over the last 1,000 days that we've been here.
Can we figure out travel arrangements and get his parents to the final 2 games and to Evansville? I mean, if he's going to play like that, we need the family in the house.
Yeah, I think they told me they're going to be there, so I think that
right.
I think they'll be there. But that's another thing with the NCAA. Maybe we'll start paying for parents to come to some of these games.
That would be
we'll
great.
open up that box too.
All right, we'll talk with Chris Harris, college graduate. He's going to join us when we come back. Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. in Jackson on SEMO ESPN. Over in the Cape Girardeau location next week as the Red Hawks will get ready for the Ohio Valley Conference Tournament. By the way, that starts March 1st through the 4th, and hopefully the Red Hawks will not be playing. Well, I don't think it's unlikely they'll be playing March 1st. Hopefully they've got that double bye and an opportunity to start in the semifinals. Let's talk it over with Red Hawks college graduate Chris Harris. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. Congratulations on becoming the 25th member of the 1,000-point club.
Thank you.
That is a phenomenal accomplishment. And how much did it kind of weigh on you psychologically you knew you were close. You had to know. I've never talked to any player that does not know when they're approaching some sort of a milestone, but you knew, right?
Yeah, I definitely knew. Going into it, the last couple games, I knew I was trying to get it. And, like Coach Corn was saying, I did think I put a little bit too much pressure on myself and trying to perform and trying to, accumulate those numbers, whereas if I would have just played and kind of let it come naturally, it probably would have came a little faster.
So how often is your family at the Show Me Center to see you play like they were Saturday?
Well, my sister and my brother are actually living in Texas, so that was the first time my brother had been to the Show Me Center. And my sister, she's come, I think, 3 or 4 times. My parents are there whenever they can, every couple weeks. So my parents come pretty frequent, but for my sister and my brother, it's pretty rare for them to get there.
So how cool was it to do it in front of your family, especially your brother and sister who just, quite frankly, I mean, life is busy and schedules are tight, and so you can't always do what you want to do in terms of everyday schedules go. How special was it that you did it in front of the people you love?
It was extremely special. I mean, like you said, don't get to see him very often. Just the way my brother and my sister kind of were brought up, we all played basketball, so we never really got to go to each other's games because we always had games of our own. So being able to kind of bring them back and for them to actually come and see that happen and see that pan out it was undescribable.
So you already have your college degree. How many in your immediate family have college degrees?
In my immediate family, 2. My mother and then my father.
All right.
Or my mother and my brother, I'm sorry.
Mother and your brother. So this is quite an accomplishment, and I'm sure they are as every bit they are proud of you as a basketball player. I got to think there's more pride in the fact that not only do you have your bachelor's degree, but you're going to leave here with a master's degree.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's something that they've talked about since I was in middle school, education first, basketball second, but be able to, use basketball to maximize your education, and I feel like that's something that I've been able to do the last couple of years.
So your bachelor's was in business administration.
Yes.
Your master's is in what?
It's going to be in general management. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Give us a little flavor of just exactly what goes on in a master's program and general management and how that works.
Yeah, so the master's programs, it's not as much busy work as undergrad, right? There's more papers, there's more analysis, and you go kind of more in depth on specific situations, whether it be accounting, whether it just be like general management for different businesses, as far as walking in and seeing the different types of cultures that are installed across different companies and understanding the different markets that there are inside each different business. So it's not as, I don't want to say hard, it's not as time consuming as an undergrad, but it's definitely, you got to put in the work.
So, do you have a game plan for when basketball is over? What do you want to do with your undergrad degree and master's degree, or are you still trying to figure some things out? Do you have a general thought of maybe where you want to pursue things?
That's a big question for me right now. Something me and Nate Johnson talk about almost every day at this point. Like, what are we gonna do? Kind of what's gonna happen after basketball? Are we gonna keep trying to play? Are we gonna hang it up once and for all? So I feel like for me, that's kind of still up in the air right now. Got a couple months after basketball actually ends and before graduation to kind of figure stuff out.
All right, we are waiting to know exactly what you had for lunch here. We saw the waiter bring you some chicken. We know it was chicken, but fill us in.
Yeah, it was. I got the honey barbecue. I know you guys are a little skeptic of boneless, but I had to get the boneless wings.
So honey barbecue, boneless, and so boneless. Well, why the boneless and not the bone in?
I don't know. I've eaten boneless ever since I was a little kid. I used to eat traditional. I think really as a little kid it was just harder to eat, eating around the bone and stuff like that. So I just got kind of used to boneless, and I kind of pick on my brother because that's what he gets. So I just kind of steal from him.
I think you're the first basketball player we've had on this show this year that has not been bone in. The one thing I will say that I like most about boneless, you do not have to get a wet wipe afterwards, man. Your hands, you can't, you
Exactly.
cannot eat bone in and not have to get a wet wipe.
Yeah, it's definitely cleaner. You can eat it with a fork like everything else, so you don't got to worry about cleaning up a mess.
All right, so how you guys feeling here? 2-game winning streak, tied for second place. You're 2 games back in the loss column of Morehead State. Going to be tough to catch them, not impossible, but you guys still, even if you don't catch Morehead State, you've got an excellent opportunity to be the number 2 seed, get a double bye, and start the OVC tournament in the semifinals. What's the mindset about how you guys are playing now and what's ahead with potentially a double bye in Evansville?
Our mindset is really just staying consistent. Like you said, we've been on a 2-game winning streak, and we know at this time of the year it's all about the team who gets hot. So if we can just remain consistent, focus on the little things, I feel like that's going to propel us over the edge. And it's really coming together as a team as well. A lot of times you get late into the season, your body starts hurting. Plays stop working as much as they did before because everybody knows who you are. So this is the time you really got to rely on your teammates, your coaches, your trainers, and everyone around you and actually come together as a unit to go out there and get that win.
You and Philip Russell are the best free throw shooters on the team. There's no debate. The numbers prove it. We've seen you. You're mid-70s free throw shooter every year you've been at SEMO. You get to the line 13 times. Now, some games you're feeling it when you're shooting the basketball. You're 4 for 14 in the game against Southern Indiana, so your shot wasn't falling as it normally does, but you still found a way to help on offense. 11 for 13 from the free throw line.
Yeah, and big credit to Phil because Phil's great at drawing fouls, right? So he draws a lot of fouls in the beginning. And
he's drawn the most fouls of any player in the conference.
Yeah, and he just gets us into the bonus super early. So now that every foul we get, we're shooting free throws. So, he puts us in a great position offensively, all of us, whether it's me, Evan Ursher, who made some huge free throws at the end. He puts us all in a great position to be able to go out there and contribute offensively, even if we don't have it going, like you said.
So you're a 6-year guy, since when you started at Missouri S&T as a freshman, and I believe your first game was at the Show Me Center, right?
Yes, it was.
For Rolla. So even in your 6th year, how many free throws do you get up a day?
Well, with practice, every time we go drink water, we have to shoot free throws. That's kind of Coach Corn's rule. But, it's become kind of second nature to me. Every time I go in, I'm going to either start or finish with free throws because, you never know when you're going to get fouled. You never know when you're going to go out for a shot and get fouled. You just never know. And free throws, a lot of times, win or lose games. So free throws are something I don't necessarily count, but they're definitely something I know I do every day, whether it's before the workout, during the workout, or after.
SEMO Hall of Fame basketball coach Ron Shoemate used to say, free throws don't win all the games, but they win all the close games.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I feel like a lot of times in close games, it's the teams who are doing the little things, but the little things are free throws because they're free. So there's times where, people are playing great defense, but at the end of the possession, they start to foul. They can't play without fouling. So the little things turn into big things, and then when you don't make your free throws, they turn into even bigger things and even bigger problems.
So what's it feel like when you're at the line in the first quarter? Okay, it's not a pressure free throw. But when you get to the point where it is a big free throw toward the end of the game, fatigue is set in, you've played probably 30-plus minutes, what is different about shooting a pressure free throw than a free throw 2 minutes into the basketball game? What goes through your mind when you're at the free throw line in a big spot?
Well, actually what goes through my mind is that there's nothing different. Like I've done this 100 times, I've done this 1,000 times. There's nothing different from when I did it when nobody was in the gym and I was by myself. So that combined with my teammates on the side, like, oh, you got this or this and that, and the added courage and support from them helps a lot. But, what's going through my mind is just do the same thing you've always done and it'll go in.
Do you even pay attention when fans are behind the backboard doing all this stuff and yelling at you and everything? Are you one of those guys that's able to block it out?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I do a good job of just looking at the front of the rim, staring at the front of the rim until the free throw goes through or it doesn't. So I feel like focus is huge when it comes to free throws, and a lot of people do try to distract you, and you even have players on the court. Like last night, I hit the first free throw, and one of their players tries to good job, and wipe some sweat on my hand, and just little things like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you start to focus on that and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that, and that's when they'll try to get you and make you miss the free throw. But if you kind of lock back in, laugh it off like it is what it is, the free throws will start to go.
How can you consistently draw fouls when you're shooting a three-point shot? You got to be among the nation's leaders. It's got to be something that I don't know. Is it a skill? Do you sometimes, and we don't have any officials listening, do you sometimes create a little contact there? Do you have to win an Academy Award at times and act like maybe you got shot? I mean, what is it that your ability to get fouled shooting a three-point shot, it's uncanny?
I think it's a combination of both. It's a little acting, but sometimes they do make contact. But I feel that in the rule book it says that you have to let a player land. And a lot of times, a lot of players shoot straight up and down. I'm one of those players who kind of jumps forward when they shoot. And a lot of times when people are closing out, they're closing out to you. So if you're jumping forward and they're closing out to you, chances are they're going to land too close and not let you land. So that's when the acting, I feel like, comes in, and you might have to fall down and kind of show them that you're actually getting hit. But, I mean, a lot of the times I'm really just focused on the shot, and then the foul ends up being an aftermath.
I think last year you probably led the team in flops called against you.
Yeah.
But back then it was just a warning.
Yeah.
This year it's the free throw, and they called it a lot earlier. They're not calling it late. How have you adjusted with that? Because it is not a situation where you're getting called for flops.
Yeah, and I feel like for me it's just making sure that I'm focused on the shot rather than getting the foul. So whether I'm shooting a layup, whether I'm shooting a three, I make sure I come down and, keep my form. Don't try to flail all over the place or try to act too much. But I just try to make sure that I'm just staying in character and focused on the shot, because a lot of times when you do look for the foul, that's when you don't get it.
I don't see you talk to the ref much.
No, that's Phil's job.
Russell is constantly talking to the ref. What are some of the things that refs say to him when he's chatting with him? What have you heard? What are some of the referee things that they say to Philip Russell?
I don't want to hear it. I don't know about that one. We try to help you out the whole game. I've even had refs come up to me and be like, "Hey man, Chris, you got to talk to Russell. Like, he's kind of getting going on." And I tell him this every time. I say, "Look, you only have to deal with him for 40 minutes. I have to deal with him for 40 games." So, and then they kind of chuckle, they laugh, and it breaks up their spirit a little bit. And, but, Phil's awesome, and that's part of what Phil does is he's able to use every facet of the game to contribute to winning. And I feel like that's one of the greatest attributes of Phil.
All right, you got 2 games left. You cannot afford a loss. I mean, I don't know what UT Martin's going to do. They have the tiebreaker with you. They've got to go to Moorhead on Saturday, the final game of the regular season. I mean, you guys cannot afford to lose if you want to get that double bye into the semifinals. What's the mindset going into Lindenwood and then Saturday SIUE?
I think the mindset's kind of the same as it was towards the end of the USI game. We can't go out there and play not to lose. We have to play to win. When you play not to lose, that's when bad things happen. But if you go out there, stay consistent, play your game, play to win the game, and do everything that you need to do and stay consistent, you'll come out with the win. So it's really, like I said at the beginning, just consistency and unity going into the game.
That is Chris Harris. And nicknames for you from your teammates. How often do you hear Grandpa or Gramps, or what do we hear?
It's Grandpa, Aquan Smart. It's always old man. I've heard you need a job a couple times. I've heard a bunch of different stuff, but my guys are great. They all make jokes and everything, but they're the first ones lifting me up and making sure I'm all good. So I love them, but I definitely do feel a little old out there playing.
All right. Again, congratulations on joining the 1,000-point club, and no cookies the rest of the season. All right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That is Chris Harris. Coach Korn will rejoin us, talk about Thursday's opponent, the Lindenwood Lions, when we come back. Red Hawks Coaches Show from Wings Etc. Show final segment here from Wings Etc. Did you know there are over 70 items on the Wings Etc. menu that are not their award-winning wings? And that includes their freshly made burger menu, their wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads. Their appetizer lineup includes their massive ultimate nachos and their deep-fried pickle chips. If you've never had pickle chips, do yourself a favor and see what those are all about. And with DoorDash, you can even have wings delivered wherever you are through the DoorDash app. It's Wings Etc. Good food, great times. Red Hawks Coaches Show. Coach Brad Korn, the Lindenwood Lions, will be the opponent on Thursday night, and then you go to SIU Edwardsville, where Philip Russell returns to the scene of the crime after his 35-point, 10-assist game the last time you played at Evansville. These are winnable games. You've got Lindenwood and SIUE. They have a bunch to play for as well. It's not just you, but if you win these final two games, Coach, your opportunity to get a double bye, it's going to be in the high percentiles here.
Yeah, it's a huge game for us. Again, like you said, Eric, for what's at stake, not necessarily who you're playing. It'd be no different if it was any other two opponents. So it's the last two of the regular season. We're on a excuse me, a little bit of a winning streak here with two, and you look at all the teams across the country and their standings, and most of the times you'll see that 1-4 in a row, 1-5 in a row, 1-6 in a row, 1-8 in a row. So we need to have one of those streaks heading into Evansville. And I think obviously you hear Chris talk about what the focus is. And again, at this point, I'll tell the guys once we get to practice today, all the awards are in, all the votes are in. It's now just basketball. And the most important thing is to win the game. However, whatever that looks like, however that looks, win the game. It doesn't matter if it's by 1 point or whatever the case may be. Execute and win the game and put yourself in the best position to have the most success come March. And we're in that position, as you mentioned, and now we got to go do it because, again, a lot of teams are playing for a lot of things. There's a lot of scenarios that can play out. Edwardsville, I don't know how many they've lost in a row here, but I think they've been sputtering a little bit. But, again, it's their senior night. It's their home game to end the season. They're going to have a lot to be playing for. So a lot of basketball.
They've lost 3 in a row.
3 straight. So, I'm not sure where they're at on Thursday. But again, it's an unforgiving league, like most conferences are, especially late February. Anything can happen. That's why you need all your guys.
They host Little Rock and they host you, so they're at home.
Yeah.
Vidal Bean Center.
Yeah, so it's and you see it all through. You've seen it all throughout conference season. There's been these couple game win streak, couple game losing streaks by a lot of teams, and so now hopefully we can be one of those teams that can continue on with what we've done to this point. But none of these games are going to be easy, and our guys know that.
All right, the 20-year anniversary over at SIU Carbondale. You just had that, right?
Yeah.
Tell us how cool that was to see some of your former teammates and who's lost the most hair and who has the largest waistline.
Well, there's a couple guys there that have gone up in a couple sizes. It's probably me or Kent in the hair department. My wife would probably tell you that it was me, but she went over there with me, and what I think I took away from that thing, Eric, was just when we were there and playing and coaching, that's just what you did. I wish I could go back and just watch it all over again and fast forward and just see how it was, because again, we were just doing what we were told to do, and we enjoyed one another. I think probably the other thing that I take away from that more than anything too is it was Kent Williams, Jermaine Dearman, who were two of the greatest players ever, and Sylvester Willis and myself. We came in together. That was Coach Whipper's first recruiting class. We all graduated. We were all there for the reunion at the beginning of the year. We were all there yesterday afternoon as well. And so, again, I think that's probably I tell the guys last week, success leaves a lot of clues. Failures leave clues, and it's up to you to pick them up and use them. And I think when I look at those teams and that history that we had there, the success and the clues that are left behind, it just speaks to what we are doing now in our lives. They're all successful people. We had success as a group. We didn't, and Darren Brooks wasn't there. His wife had a 40th birthday party, so he wasn't able to make it. But when they asked him, a 2-time player of the year, they asked him questions, and all he talks about was just how we just came every single day as a team and just competed and played and made each other better. And we never really looked to make it about Coach Weber, or he had to do something for us or anything like that. It was like, if you were on my team, we were going to practice as hard as we can practice against one another, and then afterwards we're going to be friends and brothers afterwards. And so just a special time. I wish I could go back and watch it again as an older person, as opposed to the younger guy that just kind of did it and lived it, which was obviously very special and unique in its own right. But again, I wish I could just go back and kind of be that halo and just watch it again. Because again, standing on that court, people appreciating your efforts, clapping for you, the camaraderie, the team, the connectiveness of it all, was really pretty special moment.
Bruce Weber was there?
He was, him and his hair. Him and his hair.
All right. And did your wife comment, you guys are talking about all these stories. Did she comment, I never heard that story before?
No.
Oh,
We
okay.
try to make sure we stayed as busy as possible.
Right.
No, it was because that's where she graduated from as well, and that's about the time that we actually started talking to one another. So she's seen all of this stuff happen, and you never do anything in life on your own, and so to be a part of a basketball team, to have her there to see that was all pretty cool. And our kids have gone back and seen it. Our oldest daughter was born there, so a lot of good feelings there with that. And it's think about it too. 20 years. It's like it just goes by so fast. And so we talked about the Henry situation with that young man and just how fragile and everything is, but at the same time understanding how that, to me, that's just what makes sports so cool and what makes coaching so cool, and just an opportunity that you have to be able to have those moments and teach those life lessons in those moments. Ultimately, that's what fills your cup and keeps you going every single day.
Yeah, the first SEMO basketball game I ever broadcast was against SIU, and little Brad Korn was on the roster.
Probably didn't get in the game, but I was on the roster.
Long time ago. So I know you had a great time. It's awesome to catch up and reminisce, and I'm sure it was great to see Coach Weber. I know you got to see him when he was doing color on a game earlier this year, but I'm sure you keep in constant communication with Coach Weber. Coach
is hilarious. I deal with him. Obviously, I've worked for him for 4 years, but then some of those guys haven't been around him as much as I have, obviously. And then right after we did the court thing, we got off to the side, and he's like not yelling at everybody, because the way he talks, it seems like he's yelling. But he's telling everybody to get over there to get for a picture, and a couple of those guys just started laughing. It's like, man, Coach hasn't changed. I'm like, oh, you guys have no idea. You have no idea. But no, he's a great man. It's pretty cool and unique for him, and all those guys too, all those former players.
All right, I know you got practice, so it'll be Thursday at Lindenwood, Saturday in Edwardsville, and a chance to get that potentially double bye into the OVC semifinals. And if you're able to win out and Morehead State would stumble, you still got a shot at least a tie for the regular season title. Yeah. Coach, thanks so much for the time, and best of luck Thursday at Lindenwood.
You got it, Eric. Thank you.
All right, that is the Red Hawks head coach, Brad Korn. Thanks to Chris Harris, who joined us a little bit earlier on in the show. Thanks to Rachel Cook, Mike Rennick, engineering on site for River Radio. We appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget, Red Hawks doubleheader. The women are red hot, and they'll play the Lindenwood Lions coming up on Thursday, so a big doubleheader then. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody. For a final time, we say so long from the home of the Red Hawks Coaches Show, Wings, etc.